Hello, YouTube family. Auntie is here, Patty Jackson. I'm your auntie of pop culture. It's not cute not knowing. And we start off with hugs, so now it's time to know. Last night, the American Music Awards. Did you enjoy Cardi B? Okay, there may have been times when you'd be like, I don't understand what she's saying. But the outfits were amazing. Cardi B hosted the American Music Awards, and her future is so bright. She is going to be starring in a new show on Paramount Plus entitled Assisted Living, where Cardi plays a crook on the run from the cops. So she disguises herself as an elderly woman in her estranged grandmother's assisted living facility. There's comedy written all over it. They have already found a director and they are moving forward with this project. But Cardi B moving straight into acting. Let's continue on with the American Music Awards. One of the big highlights, New Edition, New Kids on the Block, repping Boston, Battle of the Boy Bands. All 6 members of New Edition performed. They all looked great, including Bobby. You had Ralph, who was an excellent voice last night. I really hope that they continue on this path because they're saying that New Edition is going to go on a tour in the spring. Could be late spring. After they do these stadium tours, they'll be doing a Las Vegas residency. I hope so. I hope they can put aside their difference of who don't like who. And I don't want to be in the room with them. I don't want to be on stage. Fellas, get that money. They should have did a big tour after the New Edition movie that came on BET. They should have hit the road then, but they didn't. Put aside the egos and differences. Go and get the money. Some auntie advice, go and get the money. People want to see you guys perform. They want to see you out there. Come on, New Edition. Make 2022 your year. You know the Fox show, Our Kind of People? Mars Chestnut, Yaya DaCosta, Lee Daniels produced it. I don't know if that show's going to make it. It was given a 12-episode run. They're on some kind of weird hiatus now, but Fox is going to bring it back next week. They only ordered up 12 episodes, but nobody wants to talk about, well, are we doing a 13? There's no word yet, and they're saying they're just being really quiet, so they may just let the show run. It's 12 episodes, and it may be gone. So what was the highest grossing movie post-pandemic? A lot of people thought it would be Fast and Furious 9. Nope. That James Bond movie, Daniel Craig, No Time to Die, that is the movie that made the most money post coming out of this pandemic era and people returning to movie theaters. Now, speaking of Daniel Craig, he's no longer James Bond, but the James Bond franchise is going to continue. They're still searching who's going to be the next James Bond, but I can tell you this, Idris Elba is in talks to be the next James Bond villain. Now, you can't have a James Bond without having a James Bond villain. Now, for those who are like, I don't understand, why can't he be James Bond? I really think they're going to go with an actor who's younger, 30s, maybe 40s, because they want to get some mileage out of them. You know, they do these movies, like every 4 years, so they want somebody they can run with for a little bit. But we know Idris, he plays a mean villain. If you watch The Harder They Fall, that was a good Western. But he's in talks to be the next villain in the James Bond series. LL Cool J. Anybody watch the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame over the weekend? It's streaming on HBO Max. He was incredible. Will Smith says he would like to do a versus with LL Cool J. Love them both, but I don't want to see this versus. I just think it's just two different types of rap artists. You know, y'all know L got hits. He got them hard hits. I wouldn't want to see it. And Will jokingly said he'll probably clobber me, but I wouldn't want to see that. But respect the both of them. Let's talk the box office in King Richard. King Richard was in over 3,000 movie theaters, and it was streaming on HBO Max. At the box office, I got to find out. I meant to do that. I got distracted. Only took in close to 6 million at the box office, which really isn't good. That's not a good figure. But this was a great movie. See, I think that if a person has the option to watch it at home with streaming, they're going to watch it at home at streaming. It's a little lengthy, 2 hours, I think like 24 minutes, but the movie is about Richard Williams. I couldn't believe, because people were trying to say the movie was sexist, and I thought the movie was about Venus and Serena. No, it's about their dad, King Richard. It's about their dad and his quest to make sure that his girls would be those superstar, not only tennis stars, but just sports athlete stars. It was about him, and he was a different kind of character. And Will Smith embodies the role of this man. And he could be coming up, that name could be coming up at Academy Award time, but King Richard, if you haven't had a chance to see it, it's a powerful movie, and it is about Richard Williams. Now, speaking of Will, he does have the #1 book in the country. His autobiography, Will, is topping the bestsellers list. Dancing with the Stars tonight. I want Iman Shumpert to win. I interviewed him. He said he was doing Dancing with the Stars for his mom. The finals is tonight, but don't be surprised if that JoJo Siwa wins. Now, I know I'm going to be up there voting tonight, but I just have a feeling that at the beginning of the season, they kind of know who's going to win. And a lot of times my predictions have come right. Just from that first, I'm like, so-and-so is going to win. I think it's going to be JoJo Siwa. I really do. I would love for Iman, who surprised everyone. Some nights he was getting perfect 10s, but I don't know. But Iman, I'm voting for you tonight. Shaka Khan, her people are saying that she's been having issues with her back. And that was the problem with Versus. Now, this is what they're saying. For people it's like, man, do you know what it was? She did keep rubbing her leg, and it did seem like she was in a little pain. She had to take her shoes off, those boots. But they said she had a procedure done on her back, and she was still having problems, and that was the reasoning behind the bizarreness at the Verses. Chrissy Teigen, John Legend's wife, never ceases to amaze me, and I've never heard of this, but she recently got a hair transplant to her eyebrows. I never heard of that. I said, oh my goodness, it's a thing. They take the hair from the back of your head and they put it on your brow. She said she ruined her brows years ago. Now, her face still looked a little swollen from the procedure, so it was hard to tell. It kind of looked strange, but she got a hair transplant on her brows. Bobby Flay is not leaving the Food Network. They have come to terms. You know, they've been together 27 years, and they had a little spat. He had wanted $100 million, and they were like, no. They must have given him his money because Bobby Flay recently signed a new 3-year deal. Beat Bobby Flay and all those other shows are going to stay on the Food Network and the Discovery Channel. I tell you one thing about a Bobby Flay. Watching his shows made me appreciate using fresh herbs in my cooking. Like this Thanksgiving, I have not put stuffing inside of a bird in forever, but I've learned how to use the fresh herbs and maybe I got this from Ina Garten, fresh fruit like lemons and oranges, and just putting all that with the herbs and the onion and garlic to put it inside, stuff it inside the bird instead of stuffing to really give it a really nice flavor. And doing my gravies, it totally changed how I cooked because I just deliberately started going out getting fresh herbs. It was one year they had some kind of Thanksgiving thing, and I learned so much that weekend. But the man knows what he's doing with his food, and Bobby Flay is not leaving the Food Network. I'm going to make sure I don't skip over anything. Kevin Hart Wednesday, everybody. Wesley Snipes, Netflix, the miniseries, True Story. This isn't his first time. He's been dabbling in drama stuff for a minute. And this is like his third thing. That's fatherhood. But he's been dabbling in, more dramatic roles. It's a Kevin Hart we've never seen before, but that starts streaming. And y'all know he's going to be playing Gary Coleman live in front of a studio audience. They're doing a different strokes. Damon Wayans is playing the Todd Bridges role, Willis Jackson, but Kevin Hart is going to be playing Arnold Jackson, the role made famous by Gary Coleman. I can't see it either. I think we got to wait and see. I interviewed actress Kim Fields earlier today. She has a new Christmas movie coming out, Adventures in Christmasing, on VH1 on Monday the 29th. So I asked her, I said, yo, they're doing a Facts of Life. I said, who's going to play you? Because, she played Tootie. And she said she didn't know about the casting. She had just heard about, I was giving her scoop during the interview, but she said she had just heard about Kevin Hart. But who they going to line up to play the girls on the Facts of Life? We're going to find out soon, probably after the holidays, y'all, because this is coming to ABC on December the 7th, live in front of a studio audience, produced by the one and only Norman Lear, Jimmy Kimmel, Kerry Washington, Will Ferrell. They're all joining forces to put this together. As soon as I find out casting, I'm going to let you know. Essence Magazine, the one with the Game Changers, Simone Biles, Lizzo, and Nicole Hannah-Jones, the Pulitzer Prize winner. That's going to actually hit newsstands in a couple of weeks. It will be November, December. Insecure, last night, last night it showed Molly dealing with her mom being sick. If you were here on Friday, I said something's going to happen. I'm glad that they're addressing this because many people in their 30s and 40s and 50s, they're having to deal with a relative that gets sick. And this is such a part of so many people's lives. And the character Molly, being that strong Black woman, I got it, I'll take care of it. I was glad that they showed that. Because y'all see, why did I have a stroke? Because I got it, I'll take care of it, I'll do it. You just want to take on everything and be for everybody, and you can't. But it was an excellent story arc about, in life, you might have to take care of a sick parent. And I was glad that they touched on that in Insecure. Janet Jackson, she literally trended all weekend. That Hulu documentary, Malfunction, the dressing down of Janet Jackson, they were tearing Justin Timberlake up in them trending comments. But some people were like, well, why is Janet Jackson being so quiet? Janet got her own special coming in January on Lifetime. It's a 2-night special. This is how we're ringing in 2022. Janet got a lot to say. Janet has a lot to say about this and many other aspects of her life, and she's going to talk about it in her own special. She probably said, cool, New York Times, y'all do what y'all want with y'all, because mine is coming right on the heels. So there is renewed interest in Janet Jackson, her story, her legacy, what happened back then. And boy, oh boy, did they tear Justin Timberlake up in them comments. But Janet Jackson, that is the reason, y'all, she's being so quiet. This week on newsstands, model Iman, who is married to rocker David Bowie for like 27 years. She has a new fragrance that she's dedicated to him. The rocker died in 2016, but she talks about their love, their daughter, her launching this new fragrance in memory of him. That issue of People magazine, it's on newsstands now. So you guys ready for Thanksgiving? For those, here's a tip. Here's some auntie advice on so you won't get overwhelmed. Clean as you go. Because if you're faced with cooking and the sink is filled with pots and pans and dishes, you will start to hyperventilate. You will. You'll become overwhelmed. Stop, take a minute to clean, and then move on to the next dish. Thanksgiving is not the time to introduce something new. No, stick to what you know. Makes it easier. Every family don't get along. So don't feel guilty if you tell that annoying relative or friend they can't come. You want to keep your peace during the holiday season. And for me, in my house, and some people have said that I'm cruel, but I really don't care. I don't like people who come to my house and want to bag up. It gets on my nerves. If I want to give you something, I'm going to give it to you. But you're not going to come in with your containers and Tupperware and be taking food out of my house. 1 year, real quick, the year after I had my stroke, it was my first Thanksgiving cooking since the stroke. Well, I passed out. I passed out. I sat in my famous recliner and went for a good 3 hours. Well, during that 3 hour time, they cleaned me out. I couldn't even go in there and make a turkey sandwich. You know, you always want to make a little turkey sandwich the next day. I had nothing. So the next year, I cooked again, but I was a little bit stronger, and I stood there and said, ain't nobody taking out nothing. If y'all have come in here with foil and Tupperware, go and put it back in your car, because you should have cooked before you came here. This is when I knew that I was turning into my mom, when that speech came, like, we're not packing plates in here. But some guy was like, you're cruel to think that way. And I'm like, no, I'm not. Cook before you come. Cook food at your house. So you can go and have food at your house. You should always have food at your house. I don't get it. Just some Thanksgiving tips. Thanks so much for joining us. It is a short week, but we are going to be here for most of the week. Hit the subscribe button so you never miss anything. Leave a comment. Most of you do, and some of them are quite shocked when they're like, oh damn, she read it. Give us a thumbs up if you like the video. Thanks so much for joining me. I'm Patty Jackson. I am your auntie of pop culture.